People wanted this for a long time. Rat Paladins, you've got your developer update. And also, Wings of Liberty. Right. Happy people. Also, very nice artwork.
Yes. Extremely.
Delicious. Okay, so we've got the Datamined things that we've talked about. But also, there's a blue post discussing a few. Apparently, they're still hard at work completing the rework, and they'll post an in-depth thing right soon enough. As for the major changes, Retribution Aura's functionality will be changing. Instead of just being a personal throughput benefit, it is 5% damage and healing to all party and raid members for 10 seconds whenever anyone takes more than 50% of their health in damage with a 30-second internal cooldown.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's quite a lot, yes. It's very, I mean, what's that? 10 seconds? Yeah, that is a third uptime if people tank damage intentionally. Which is, there's a little bit of degenerate play that could arise out of this, but I think considering how mechanics and raid comes in, this will be whenever big things are happening, this will be kind of intended. Because the amount of time people get knocked pretty low, and it's also takes more than 50% of the damage.
That's really going to make you want to have a Paladin. I'm even just thinking about this from the healing perspective.
Yeah, it's...
You know, what if you're in a mad triage, like some mad triage situation? Another 5% healing is nice for all three healers in your, or well, in our case, three, but like that's pretty big.
Yeah, so for a comparison, you could look at it and say, well, 5% damage at a third uptime and 5% healing. 5% healing is... basically, no one else really has that. If you look at other classes as an example, druids have 5% versatility at all times, which is 5% damage and 2.5% damage taken reduction, which is huge. You look at Chaos Brand and Mystic Touch from Demon Hunters and Monks, that is 5% magical and 5% physical, respectively, and that's up all the time. But obviously, there's a split between magical and physical damage, so you can see how it's uniquely positioned. It's a bit weaker on damage, say, than if you're in like a full physical stack and you bring a monk. It's a bit weaker, but it also has a healing benefit. So it is at least reasonably unique. And you go, oh, that's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, fits a Paladin too.
Yeah, but it doesn't directly compete. So
yeah.
Yo, that's smart, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really cool. Another thing then. So Instrument of Retribution basically adds the old thing back in. It's a passive that is just you getting 12 seconds of wings whenever a party or raid member dies. Then we've got them just talking about their overall like kind of design goals about reviewing stacking auras and button bloat. Seraphim is being removed from the tree. Its throughput instead will be worked into core abilities. And also Divine Toll has been moved to the class tree as a result of all of this, with them basically saying they still want like a really powerful end cap to the class tree.
Yeah, it's fun to see because I think Seraphim had some interesting potential in terms of, press this button every 45 seconds. How does it line up with everything else? But I think it being a little bit off time, and for Ret specifically, it being with everything else, you just go, yeah, you just press all your buttons at the same time. And because you've got so much damage built into this tiny window, then that's where all your damage is. Outside of this window, you'd absolutely tickle. I think that was a substantial problem with Red Paladins and how they felt, where it's like, your burst is bursty, it's still not bursty enough, and your downtime is all the time, and kind of shit. We're like, sweet. So them removing that is also removing a button, so it is very...
And per Darkor,
it's nice, yeah.
Mythic 20, it's a 1.66% DPS increase, which is actually... big enough. I mean, how many times have you just barely made it to the end of a boss? I mean, of course, they'll work all this into their tuning, but yeah. So there's that. I would say, though, as well as the DPS increase, I almost think the healing increase is more important. Maybe I would say that because I'm a healer. But there's this feeling of like, if that person dies and you lose your combat res, that has got a profound... profound impact on if you are going to clear the thing. We'll see.
I don't think the healing is that important, but only because obviously that ends up being if it's a 1.66 DPS increase, it's a 1.66 HPS increase.
Yeah, but overall, HPS doesn't matter. The place where you want the HPS to be is where it's triage, which is where this will activate.
Not necessarily. because the chaotic nature of it is... okay, I'm not actually sure how 50% of their health is managed in game, because if it's managed the same way, say, the iced file of Corrupting Rages, that'll be 50% overall. So that basically means it will proc almost every 30 seconds reliably, which means it's not press button, get more healing. It's just take a little bit more in. It should line up sometimes, especially after downtime, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Hey, could you die? Reset my grief torch. You have wings.
So that's...
I've kind of taken the piss.
Yeah,
That's never going to make sense.
No. Okay, well, it didn't make sense in the end, but it was part of Echo's strategy for defeating Mythic Razageth.
What?
They had farmed out grief torches, and they said, if we don't have the DPS to make this check, we will try a strategy in the last phase, which is we will have people individually die and stack grief torches and see if we can get a die, grief torch, die, grief torch, die, grief torch out of all of our DPS players and see if that's enough to tilt it.
Grief
they didn't
torch,
end up doing that, I don't believe.
What does grief torch do again? Because I know that you have one now.
It is a short channel, very large burst of damage. And it is on a 2-minute cooldown. When someone dies, it loses 90 seconds of cooldown.
Okay, I see. So if I let somebody die in the raid, really, it's just me helping you out.
It is a DPS increase for me and John, and I think Matt also has a grief torch.
Okay, great. If you die in our raid, it is for the greater good, comrade.
Yeah, so especially if you want to stack. Now the problem is, and I was really annoyed by this because it's only going to be a valid strategy for a very small period of time because Grief Torch is a raid trinket, not a Mythic Plus trinket. It will not be in the next season, which is where most of the ret stuff will matter. So unless they do something similar for like 10.07, if you want to play a full ret comp and just have like a blood for the blood god sacrifices for Grief Torch and wings, that'll be very interesting. Very.
Yeah, it soon moves away from a noble paladin into a sort of like a space marine or like a custodian 40k thing, where it turns into like sacrifice the person, get more damage. Wings of Liberty. Not only is StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty a very good game, but Wings of Liberty is a 8 to 30 yard range Retribution Paladin ability with a 45-second cooldown that causes you to leap through the air towards a target location, slamming down, dealing physical damage. It's Heroic Leap.
It's Heroic Leap.
It's Heroic Leap.
It's Heroic Leap with a shorter range.
Yes, it is a small Heroic Leap.
Let me double check that because I need to make sure I'm looking at the right one. Yes, it is 40 yards for... Oh my god, that's actually amazing. I didn't see the getting out of the wheelchair. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Steven, yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
That said, a 30-yard leap on a 45-second cooldown isn't that much.
But it is a lot when you need it.
It is a lot. It's a ton when you need it, yes. And maybe they'd be talented to bring it down to 30 seconds.
Well, if you have
maybe they'd be talented to bring it up to 60 yards.
You have 2 horses in the back pocket, right?
No. No.
Is there a talent that gives you 2 stat?
Do we? Sorry, I actually need
2
to think
charges
this
of the
There is a
steed.
talent.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, do you?
I'm
take
trying to
it?
think. Do you take it for most builds because the Paladin class tree is it's a hellscape.
Okay.
You
right.
lose so much throughput if you want to take extra utility because the way the tree is organized. You end up having to take something out of like Zealot's Paragon if you want an extra. If you want 1 second in your steeds, you take it out of Zealot's Paragon. You go, oh, that's not a great tree. I think you can take Cavalier handy, but the extra 1 second on the steed is pretty annoying overall, more or less. I think that's the frustrating part. It's a bad tree. So two charges of horse, but 100% for 3 seconds is nothing, honestly.
Yeah.
But then the leap will be nice. That said, I don't feel movement issues as much as most Red Paladins do, because I have the Nitro boost on my belt. I would not have played Paladin in Shadowlands if I didn't have Nitro boost belts. When it backfires, it backfires. You can't just bubble or lay on hands. But when it doesn't backfire, choom, speed. Incredible.
Saved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, if you die and there's another paladin, they'll get wings.
Yeah.
It's a great virtuous circle.
It very much is, yes.